So with tomorrow kicking off the early signing period, we're going to be covering and watching some of the nation's top recruiting battles, and I can't wait. But today, we need to turn our attention to one of the more intriguing battles this cycle, in my opinion. The battle for a 5-star safety and longtime Notre Dame commit Peyton Bowen. But just because Peyton Bowen has been committed to Notre Dame for quite some time does not mean this is a done deal. And institutions such as the Oklahoma Sooners have really placed themselves in an intriguing position to flip the 5-star safety, though they are not the only team that's been mentioned in the same breath with Peyton Bowen. Institutions such as Oregon and A&M have also been mentioned as teams to watch. Today, we need to break it all down. Before we can, though, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe Peyton Bowen flips? And let me know where you think he goes. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed that content, be sure to like and comment down below as those interactions are massive. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And this has been a battle I've been watching closely this entire cycle. Peyton Bowen has been a longtime Notre Dame commit, but it's been really interesting watching teams try and court him and get his presence on campus. He is one of the top prospects in high school football, and there is no question about it. If you look at his national ranking, he comes in as a top 15 player in high school football, regardless of position, coming in at number 14. He's the number 2 safety in the nation and the number 3 player in the state of Texas. So this is absolutely a difference maker whenever we're talking about what he can do on the field. If you flip on the tape of Peyton Bowen, you're going to see a lot you like. He's a rangy safety. He's got really good ball skills. He was a real dangerous offensive weapon for Denton Guyer. This is a prospect that's a difference maker, and it makes complete sense that so many institutions are trying their best to garner his attention. Turn on the tape, it's all going to answer the questions. But where will he end up going? As I've stated, Peyton Bowen has been a longtime Notre Dame commit, but that has not prevented institutions such as the Oklahoma Sooners from positioning themselves in a really interesting spot to get a flip. Peyton Bowen has visited Oklahoma several times. On top of that, his girlfriend is set to go to college there, and Oklahoma is currently after his younger brother, who sits just outside the top 300 players as a 4-star prospect in the class of 2024. And Oklahoma has had success in the Denton and DFW area in the past. Look at their roster. There's a lot of DFW guys on that roster, but specifically if we look at the city of Denton, Billy Bowman is from Denton. And if we want to get much more personal, if we look at the class of 2023 for the Oklahoma Sooners, 5-star quarterback Jackson Arnold is Peyton Bowen's quarterback and longtime friend. So it's going to be tough to say no to that pitch, especially whenever we look at recruiting. And one thing I always say, follow the visits. And Peyton Bowen has visited Oklahoma several times. There's been constant communication, and just this past week he canceled with meeting up with the Oregon coaches so that he could have an opportunity to meet up with the Oklahoma coaches. That means something. And the Oregon Ducks were a team that many people thought could be making big moves in this battle. Now, that's not to say it's a done deal. One thing about recruiting, I think everybody who's really into recruiting understands, it's not done until the ink is on the paper. And until that time, anything can happen, and I do truly mean anything. Last cycle, we saw the number 1 player in all of high school football, Travis Hunter, who is a longtime commit to Florida State, flip and go to Jackson State with Coach Prime of all places. So we know anything can happen in recruiting, but this is something we have really got to watch. Now that we know the players involved, will Peyton Bowen flip? And this is going to be something we have to watch. Personally, I think if Peyton Bowen flips, the most likely destination is the Oklahoma Sooners. And one of the reasons is, first and foremost, follow the visits. It's where he's gone consistently. Oklahoma has been involved in this battle for as long as anybody can remember. Oklahoma is feverishly after his younger brother, and his girlfriend is set to go to Oklahoma. On top of that, Jackson Arnold is going to go be playing in Oklahoma, and he can play in close proximity to his family if that's something that intrigues him. And one thing we need to understand about recruiting, those tiny details can make all the difference in the world. I want to tell you a quick story about one of the most interesting recruiting battles I've ever heard about. There was a battle a few years ago where this kid was committed to Alabama. And whenever he went to get up and greet Nick Saban went to go give him a handshake, and the kid wanted a hug. He ended up decommitting from Alabama because those things meant something to him. That personal touch. If he was going to leave home and go play somewhere else, he wanted that personal feeling of what he was accustomed to with his family. And though that might sound trivial, that does mean something. Think about it. You're leaving your home, you're leaving your family to go someplace new. Little details like that matter. And it's not absurd. So things like this are absolutely things you need to keep up with. And if playing in close proximity to his home is something that matters, it's going to be tough to say no to an institution like the Oklahoma Sooners. Notre Dame, on the other hand, they have to feel like at some level, hey, he hasn't flipped yet. If Peyton Bowen was going to flip, he could have done so at any time, and yet he's remained steadfast in his commitment. So if you're a Notre Dame fan, I can absolutely understand feeling a little bit bullish, but there's no doubt that this is a battle that you do not feel 100% confident there's no flip going to occur here. And that's what makes this so interesting. This is a battle that could go any way, and I cannot wait to see where he ends up. Personally, I think the Oklahoma Sooners have a really good shot at flipping Peyton Bowen. If I had to bet today where he would sign, I think he flips to Oklahoma. And if he does, what a huge win for Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners. But y'all already know. I have to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know where you think he ultimately ends up, because I think this has been one of the most intriguing battles this cycle. And quickly, before we get out of here, I have an absurd goal, and I want to see how close we can get to 20,000 subscribers before the new year. I know, that's lofty expectations, but y'all have been showing unbelievable support, and I'd love nothing more than to have you a part of this awesome community. So if you're not currently subscribed and you've enjoyed the content, please be sure to do so. But having said all that, that's it. See ya.